Hello and welcome to the Leeds Up podcast. I'm James and I'm with Rocco Dean.
Hello.
And the man whose personal brand has taken an absolute battering this week, Darragh Cunningham.
Hello there.
Special thanks before we get into the lovely win against Derby County at Ellandroad to Bass & Bligh, sponsors of the podcast. Premium independent photographic dealership with over 60 years of experience. They specialise in cameras, binoculars and spotting scopes. They offer a wide range of brands including Canon, Fuji, Nikon and Sony. They also sell the very best in binoculars and spotting scopes from top manufacturers such as Swarovski, Leica and Zeiss. And at the minute, they have an offer actually. So if you go to the used section of the website, there should be a little pop-up that comes up. Put your email address in, they'll send you £10 off when you purchase any used item. So yeah, go on there. It's a unique code for you. So they go to bassandbligh.com or
6 Beulah Street in Harrogate.
Oh, marvellous. A win.
Great win. Happy days. Easy. Rubbish opponent again.
Yeah, very much so. And before we get into the game, actually, thinking about it, we probably need to just talk over, we've got a home draw in the FA Cup, third round, against...
Depends, doesn't it? Depends your
allegiance. I was just going to say, Rocco, it's a decent away day for you, this one.
Yeah, I know. Do you know what? I was jumping around the living room so excited. Like I had literally genuinely said to my mates beforehand, if Harrogate draw Leeds at Ellandroad, that I would go in the away end. But now that it's actually happening, I can't bring myself to do it. But I do have the problem of my son who does want to go in the Harrogate end. So yeah, I've got this to handle. Going to try and get my wife to take him, I think, and I'll go in the home end and berate him.
I was thinking about... Sorry, Darragh, go on.
I was going to say it's like a Leeds civil war going on, in homes all across Leeds. It's a fantastic draw.
Civil is short for civilised. I mean, in Harrogate, it'd be a very civilised war. just a sparring of words. That's all it would be. But yeah, I mean, I saw on Twitter a few Harrogate Town fans saying they were probably going to just sing March On together. And to be honest, for Harrogate's own popularity, it probably do them a decent amount of favours singing a load of fans coming to Elland Road and singing March On together.
Well, it's funny because I think or thought or suggested that maybe Harrogate should have their scum Harrogate fans in the top tier of the West Stand and the Leeds fans in the bottom tier, and then they could be separated. It'd be like a split away, and because they do have a lot of scum fans, you'll get the odd anti-Leeds song at a Harrogate game. But obviously there's loads of Leeds fans as well. So going to be an interesting atmosphere and might be a little bit spicy at 5:30 on Saturday evening. Should be a cracking day.
5:45, January the 11th on BBC iPlayer. And the club, as in Harrogate Town, even honour the fact that their fans, a lot of them are Leeds fans, because at the friendly pre-season, there was an official half and half scarf. You never get them as official scarves, really, do you?
True.
Having said that, Darragh, what have you got behind you?
That's a Dublin Leeds scarf. That's my half and half. Here's a question for you, right? So let's imagine the scenario: Leeds are cruising to victory, 4-0 up. There's no hassle, and last minute Harrogate get a goal. Do Leeds fans cheer? Leeds fans give them a little clap.
I don't think Leeds fans cheer.
Worth a try.
I might give him a clap.
Yeah. Oh dear. So yeah, anyone who can't go, it is on BBC iPlayer, that one, so that's good. And yeah, the anniversary of the passing of Billy Bremner was before the game at the weekend. 1997 he passed away, which is crazy. I can't believe how long ago it was now. Yeah, nice to see that continually honoured.
Yeah, I was at the game, Chelsea away, a few days after his death, and it was unbelievable. I was only 13, 14 at the time. And yeah, that was the day that Leeds went down to 9 men in the first half and battled to a 0-0 draw. It was just such an emotional day. Obviously, I was so young, it wasn't really emotional for me in terms of, being upset about losing Billy. But yeah, just that away end was something special. And playing Chelsea, obviously, with the rivalry from back in his day, it was, best 0-0 draw I'll ever go to, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's tragic, isn't it? What Billy has done for this club will never be replicated ever by any player. And actually, that leads me to a question. Actually, I know we have our notes before the pod. I thought purposely I'm not going to put this in because I want to get authentic reactions. So maybe this could go to the listeners as well, specifically for you two. What does Billy Bremner mean to you?
It's a good question. I think for me, it's the core mood he still generates through the club. You know, his slogan is on the side of the walls everywhere, you know, side before self. And so I think, you know, that's something I've only learned in my adulthood. You know, it's not something I really knew as a kid, but for me, I think it means everything about loyalty and being part of a team. And I think that's what you want from every player from here on. And you know, that's not realistic, particularly in this day and age, but I think he set such a mark of what we want as fans that yeah, you can't understate the importance of him, really.
Yeah, he does like just reflect Leeds United perfectly, even down to how underrated he is. Like, obviously not by the people and journalists that saw him at the time, but, you know, in general, talking of greats, you know, they'll talk about, you know, Best and Law and, you know, Keegan. They'll very rarely will people talk about Bremner, which is absolutely bonkers because, yeah, he was like Steven Gerrard and, yeah, with the flair of Gaza and, you know, scoring so many brilliant goals in finals and semi-finals. So, yeah, an absolute hero.
It's funny. So with my lecture ahead on now, I'm going to analyse your answers. So what we come up with is we bring it back to loyalty and a reflection of Leeds as a whole. And for me, Billy represents leadership. And it goes back to, I suppose, what both of you have said, but, you know, decide before self every time. The quote, every time we concede a goal, I feel like I've been stabbed in the heart. That reflection of the essence of what it is to be Leeds, that hard-working grafter. And in a team full of leaders, he shone above all of them. So for me, Billy represents leadership. And if you put those three things together, like, what a man. What a man. It's absolutely no coincidence that we have a massive statue outside the club for him, because his legacy is permeated through every fibre of everything that every Leeds team and every Leeds fan does.
Yeah, definitely. And people will notice who are watching on YouTube that we've got a thumbnail of an old fight from that era, which is Norman Hunter lancing someone across the face. I don't know who it is, but yeah, that's what that is, if you wondered who it was. And on that topic as well, thanks to everyone who's been tuned into YouTube or whatever it is you do on it. Do you tune in these days? That's an old TV adage, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I've no idea.
But yeah, we really appreciate it. Audio version's still there. Primarily is that. But we're really pleased with everyone that's been giving us really nice comments and feedback, and much appreciated. And the cringy thing that all the like YouTube people do really well, which is what, Rocco? What do they do? What do they say?
Smash a like and subscribe.
Yeah, decimate that subscribe button or whatever the phrase is. But
It made Rocco do it.
well, I
am
am as like a complete deflection. But yeah, what we were going to say is anyone who, well, not anyone. God, we've thrown these away then, wouldn't we? But for one lucky person who likes, subscribes, and comments on the YouTube video, you get, Rocco.
You get them. These two fantastic books. I'll sing behind Darragh as well. League One Leeds and the O'Leary years. I'll send them your way, signed in time for Christmas. How's about that?
Nice one. That's very kind of you. So yeah, someone lucky enough will be in with a chance to win those. So yeah, good luck. And yeah, so into the game. 2-0, as we say, good. Last week we said we wanted a routine win, and that's exactly what we got. It was ideal, really, let's be honest. And team selection, Firpo and Aronson, were they lucky to retain their places? Aronson in particular, maybe?
Well, I watched a really good video, actually, by Lucky, one of our fellow YouTube sensations, analysing Aronson and what he brings to the team. And it was really interesting. So, you know, the two main points that I picked out or took from it was his importance on marking the midfield playmaker. So marking, you know, whoever's playing number 4 for the opponent, and basically restricting their centre-backs from being able to play through midfield, marking that guy so tight that their only option is to go straight up into the striker, where Rodon and Strauch are so dominant, winning those balls. And then also his movement off the ball. And I did a lot of time watching that. You know, Lockie was saying that he's always in space. It's impossible to mark because he's so quick at this level. And he was right. You know, definitely noticed that on Saturday. But I did also, like, I saw someone on on Twitter saying before the game, like, watch Aronson have a stormer today because of all the abuse he's been getting. And I just thought, is he even capable of that? I know he's had some really good games earlier in the season, but yeah, thought he did all right, but yes, I'd still like to probably see him replaced.
For me, as much as he does my head in, I'm not oblivious to his good qualities. Like that whole off the ball stuff is important. He does get into space. He does track back. He does put in a shift. It's his quality on the ball that kills me. I mean, he had 3 good chances in that game. I don't know, maybe they're skipping a bit ahead there. But what's interesting about Aronson in the 10 is Farke's current reluctance to play Peru there after his 13-minute monologue last season about how Peru was a 10. But the bigger question is, what is a Farke number 10? Right? Because if we look through his career, he had Buendia at Norwich, who is a very different type of player to Aronson. He's not flying around and buzzing around and doing everything. He was all about what he could do on the ball. And then he moves into Peru, who's a completely different player again. And then he switches to Ruter, who, again, is more of a dribbler and someone who obviously could pick a pass as well. And now it's Aronson, who's kind of none of those things. So of the 4 10s he's had over the last few years, I don't think any of them are the same. So I kind of do wonder, what is Farke looking for in a 10? And is it truly Brendan Aronson?
Yeah, I saw a comment earlier this week, actually, and it might have been around Ampadu coming back into the team, which is a massive win because I think we thought he's probably done until the new year at least. So to see him back in the squad is brilliant. And I can't remember who it was. It might have been Joe Donahue who put this on X or Blue Sky, one of the others. There's that many bloody social media networks now. The idea that Ampadu would come in and potentially a Tanaka or someone would push forward into like a 10 role, and if that was to happen, it does make you think, could that work? Because Darragh, I think you even mentioned a while ago, and you did just say it then, around, the idea that there are more potential number 10s in the squad that could fill that role. So it'd be interesting to see, can someone else work in it? And for all the things that Brendan Aronson is good at, a few of the things that you really want a number 10 to do, like I saw take-ons. He had 4 attempted take-ons and only one of them was successful. And you think a lot of number 10s, and maybe this is a bit harsh, comparing him to Pablo, but I suspect Pablo would have probably had double that, double the amount of attempts and probably triple the amount of successes.
Yeah, it's the decision-making as well, like Darragh said in the summer. I think that lets him down almost as much as anything, but he's not doing too bad. We're doing well with him there, so Farke's happy. We've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess.
I'd say, without jumping too much into the match, I wouldn't mind seeing Rothwell there. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, absolutely brilliant. And I watched back some of the highlights and some of the clips of him in particular, and they were terrifying. Like, they were standing off him miles. Every time he got the ball, they were giving him lots of space, which obviously played in his favour. But also they knew if they get close to him, he's going to play 1-2 around them and he's going to be gone and put a few of them out of the game. So, like, they were standing so far off him. He was electric yesterday. I thought his passing range was brilliant. He must listen to Graham Smith's podcast, the Yorkshire Evening Post, because Graham mentioned that a couple of previous managers of his had said that he didn't relish the physical side. And I've never seen him flying into tackles the way he flew into tackles yesterday. He was flying in, sliding tackles all over the place. I just thought he was magnificent. I think we should sign him. I'm going to come out there now and say we should absolutely sign that guy, whether we go up or not, and hopefully we go up. And I know people might think, well, look, does he have the quality for the Premier League? He has the quality for Leeds United. And I think we've seen a lot of big players come in for big money who can't wear the Leeds shirt. It's too heavy for them. They cannot perform. He's taken to it. So regardless of kind of what quality he may or may not have at what level, he's performing for Leeds. And I remember days when that used to not happen. Like, we used to sign some really good players, or players we thought were really good, who could not perform at Ellandroad. They just couldn't hack the pressure. He seems to relish it. I think he's a magnificent player. I'd love to see him given a run of games in the 10, particularly for home games against teams like Derby, because how much defending are we going to have to do? I think, Rocco, you mentioned it in our WhatsApp, 90% possession, 80% possession. We need people who are better on the ball, not people who are hustling and hurrying, because those teams aren't going to bother us anyway defensively.
We've done about 264 episodes now, is it? And for anyone new to this who is watching on YouTube, we have referred to Joe Rothwell as the knackered roofer. That's what we feel he looks like, but he's definitely not that, is he? He is class. And like you say, it is a massive weight and burden for some people to wear the Leeds shirt, and he's taken to it gloriously, which is, can't ask for more.
It's funny, isn't it? It's gone from the knackered roofer. That's what we were calling him, but now we're calling him Joe Bowyer, aren't we?
Exactly.
Like the complete opposite, like the most energetic player we've ever had.
Should we just call him Joya? It's easier, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So Simon Grayson was on the commentary for LUTV yesterday, I believe, and he was also doing the interviews with Bremner after the game. And one of the things he said to Daniel Farke was, does he find it frustrating and does he have to prepare for low block football? And Daniel Farke said, we constantly practice, with the idea of playing against 5 or 6 at the back. And we've got it here that we wanted to talk about width and issues making use of that wide space. And that is part of the problem, isn't it? Is that it is hard to, you don't get as much width if you're having to play against teams like that. I did notice that we had 31 crosses yesterday, 12 of which were from Dan James. Doesn't show the success rate, but my feeling from yesterday was not a lot of passes and crosses from out wide were getting into the box and causing problems. That being the exception of Brendan Aronson, who have been a little bit harsher, and he got an assist.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did research into this. I watched back up until the first goal, because obviously the situation is about breaking down the low block. And I took a screenshot on my phone of every time the ball comes into the box, who's in there. And honestly, it was damning. Like, Pirou is the only guy in the box on 90% of the occasions. And even his movement is poor. Like, no one else is actually trying to get in the box. Basically Farke's formation, he's got the left back pinning one full back. He's got James on the right, and then he's got Pirou in the middle. And Pirou in the middle, and then you've got Solomon sort of tucking inside, and Aronson. And they need to be bombing into the box, and they're not. They're just sort of dawdling on the edge of the box or on their heels, waiting for, a cut back. Like, the only time somebody actually sprinted to the middle of the goal was Voba when he scored. It's the only time it happened, in the first half. It must have been 15 occasions. So I think it's what's going on in the middle. Like I've said before about, being wasteful out wide, but yeah, I don't think it's the wingers. I think it's what's going on in the middle, the movement in the middle, and the determination to get in there and get on the end of stuff, and the belief as well. Like, it just isn't there, actually. Or it wasn't on Saturday. I'll keep looking out for it.
It's funny we mentioned Lee Bowyer, and then we talk about midfielders bombing into the box and getting goals. You'd have to say that's probably a tactical thing from Farke, though, isn't it? Like, he's got to be telling his midfielders not to bomb into the box and to maybe hold outside. But I will say I have to give Farke a bit of credit. Like, last week, obviously, I mentioned that, some of the things he'd worked on across the summer were, stopping the side-to-side stuff. And obviously he's done that. And as you mentioned, it turned into a case of getting crosses in or trying to get crosses in. We need to follow that up with getting the players in the box to win them. And then obviously the dead balls and the shots from distance. And we saw all three come into action on Saturday. Obviously, we scored from a dead ball. I think Dan James, Tanaka, Pirou, Aronson. I think there was lots of shots from outside the box as well. So got to give Farke his credit that things he's worked on to beat a low block obviously came to fruition yesterday.
I think part of the worry with that as well is that counter-attacks, and if you have got all your men in the box, then all of a sudden you've got a wide open midfield, haven't you? And I think because teams are defending so deep with numbers, that it also makes it harder for the runners to try and create the space or know the space to run into as well. But yeah, I totally take the point, because then it brings up an argument for Bamford, doesn't it? Because that Bamford is so good at finding that space. So
yeah, I thought that, there was a few occasions where Peru's just he's done the first bit, he gets on the blind side of the defender behind him, and then instead of bombing in front of him, to get on the end of a cross, he's just hanging back on the far post. Yeah, it was it wasn't very impressive, to be honest.
I wonder, is there an argument for a Bamford or a Joseph and or both, like against someone like Derby, who were not interested in pushing forward against us? So we saw the same against Plymouth. Could we not play 4-4-2 even for half an hour, for a second half even, and and overload the box and go for it? I suppose it's not Farke's way, I know that, but where did 4-4-2 die? Where do we have to play a 10?
I knew you were an honorary Englishman. Lump it up the field, come on.
Well, I want Benson and Hedges up front as well.
Yeah, good stuff. I think Farker mentioned as well, he said, he referred to Solomon as like a bottle of ketchup. He said, you shake it up and you never know when it's going to suddenly flow. I mean, I probably think of other euphemisms. Maybe not ketchup, but randomly, it did make me think. I just wanted to mention this. Does anyone remember green ketchup? It was like a limited... It was a limited edition ketchup that came out in the year 2000, where they were trying to encourage kids to eat ketchup, and they turned it green. It's like, what?
Well, like pea flavoured.
No, it was still tasted like ketchup, but it was green. Anyway,
no.
Moving on.
I take it you researched that. Just
stay for the weird.
Yeah, exactly. Neurodivergence.
You definitely looked that up. You looked that up to check that you didn't dream it, didn't you?
Well,
That's how you knew the year.
Yeah, you see, sometimes when you Google something and it's an old BBC article and it goes to the old website still from 2000, it's there. It's amazing. Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, set piece, the thing that everyone moans about and says we don't get enough of, we went and did one.
Did two. Rodon should have scored the first one. Terrible miss, wasn't it?
Should have done. I think I saw someone say Joe Rodon suffers from having a 50p head on Twitter, and then it wasn't long after that he scored a goal. But yeah, well chuffed for him. Is it only his second career goal? Obviously,
second ever. Yeah.
Scored in France, and then that one.
And the thing about the one he missed as well, if you watch it from the angle from behind the goal, we had a shout for a penalty. Did you see the defender's hands and elbows in Peru's face? He doesn't even try to get the ball. He puts both hands up and is elbowing Peru in the face, and the ball goes over their head, and Rodon misses the chance. But there was definitely a shout. Like, if that VAR was in there was definitely a shout for a penalty in that.
Yeah, and I think in the run up to that goal as well. I mean, not to move on from that already, because I am pleased that we got a set piece goal, and great that it came from a defender. Great that none of our attacking players really scored as well, which is great, which is what we talked about. We need goals from everywhere, so perfect. But it was great to hear Marcelo Bielsa's name. We're not very well, quite far in it. Hearing Marcelo Bielsa's name ring out as a reference to Spygate and Sky yesterday as well. From seeing all the clips, we're going big on that old rivalry, trying to bring all that up again, which it's quite cute, isn't it? Trying to get a rivalry for Derby.
Yeah, they didn't mention the Guard of Honour there, did they? At the end of it all, I think they just ended with the playoff victory for Derby. Typical.
And the 11 drunk players who kind of dribbled their way around them, both physically and metaphorically.
Yeah, that's it.
The game did lack spice, though, for a Leeds Derby game, for something that happened fairly recently that kind of destroyed every single one of us. The game really did lack spice because, the clubs have just gone in such parallel directions. We obviously capitalised on that and went up, and now we're back down, but with a top-class squad, and they obviously went to League One, and they are absolutely shit.
Dreadful.
Which is just great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It is great. So, obviously, Max Wober scored our second goal. Brendan Aronson with his assist kind of came off the defender's foot, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I think the goal overall for Wober was really good for the club, because there's been so much, I don't want to say ness around it, but there's definitely been that feeling of Wober. I mean, you still get people booing when he comes on, and actually we just need a reset on that, and all the fans to just sort of head in the right direction, because when you get those splits and fragments of people thinking differently and being quite negative, it can sort of muster a lot of negativity, and it spill into how the fans are and then how the players are. And so I think actually it was a really good reset for him, even though there's still talk of him maybe going in January. But I think overall a really positive thing. Good for him to seal the win, I think.
Going to need him now, aren't we? He's going to be playing while Firpo's injured.
That's true, yeah.
So, I think you're right. Just like with Gnonto last season, and Boba has sort of taken the brunt of my annoyance with the snakes and losers, like more than Aronson or the others. And I'd have been happy if he stayed on the bench all season, but he's on and scoring goals and contributing. Like I said, did brilliant there, for a centre-back to have that instinct to sprint into the middle and to finish it off as well, tidy finish. So, this is the thing, meet him in the street, I bet he's the loveliest guy. So, just have to just let it go, I guess, and just get behind. I mean, I would never have booed him at Elland Road. Like, I'd sort of semi-sarcastically boo him, like watching in the pub or whatever.
Boo him in the road.
Yeah. Not in the ground. So, yeah, I obviously want it to, like, it's horrible. Even in the friendlies, like, I don't like the booing at Elland Road for our players in any circumstance.
I think with regards to the booing at Elland Road, I could understand it for the friendlies, but I think that's it now. It's done. We've had our say. We need to all knuckle down and come together for Leeds United. You know, United has won. He had a good game yesterday. I'm not as big as fan, given what he did, but as you say, James, like if you met him in the street, he hasn't killed anyone. You know, he did a bit of a sneaky one, saying, yeah, he'd like to stay. He was given the captain's armband for a time, even though it was obviously a few friendlies, and then he shot off to Wolfsburg, was it? It was Gladbach. Who did he go to?
Mönchengladbach,
Gladbach. Yeah. But I thought he came in and did a good job yesterday, and I think we're going to need him for the rest of the season. Like, fact is, he's a 15 million quid defender who's played Champions League and was in the Euros, and doing quite well in the Euros. And we've got him in our squad. I mean, that's got to be the envy of every other team in the league, because you get into every other team other than ours. But he was quite fortunate, supposed to get on, because there was obviously an early injury to Firpo. And it just goes to show how cataclysmic that stupid headbutt was. Well, it wasn't a headbutt, as I totally defended him on that, and I still do. But how cataclysmically bad it was for him, because since then, he's been missing games. And for a guy who kind of needs that kind of continuity in approach in those regular games to get his best form, it's really damaged him. If you look at the games, including Millwall, we've had 6 games. We've lost the 2 that Firpo has played 90 minutes in. So Millwall and Blackburn, we've lost both of them. Obviously, came off early, and we won the other 4. So there's an argument now he doesn't get his place back in that team for a little while. He's going to have to earn it, and all because of a silly head-to-head, which, to be fair, I said from the start should never have been. But as Farkas said, you just can't do these things. You're giving the referee an opportunity to make a decision.
That's the way it goes, though, particularly with injuries, because Woba was out with injuries really at the start of the season as well, and everyone gets their opportunity when it comes, really. And I think as a footballer, and it's all the old cliches, you just got to be ready when it's your chance, and it is Woba's chance now, isn't it? So I think he'll probably stick at left back, and to be fair, that's a decent back 4 if Woba's going to be there at left back. I trust him more than I do Firpo. I think we sort of forget what a good player Woba is and will be for Leeds. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we can keep him.
It's like so many. Obviously, it finished 2-0, and the second half was a bit of a non-event, really. I mean, I've heard some people saying that Solomon had a great game. So I was underwhelmed, to be honest, by him. Had a decent effort, nearly went in. Yeah, that would be the other talking point for me. What did you think of him?
I thought he was okay, and nothing more. I thought the whole front 4 were okay and nothing more. I think that probably harkens back to what we said last week about the difficulties in breaking down both low blocks, and even teams like Blackburn, who perhaps didn't have a low block but did defend resolutely and got men behind the ball when they needed to, but then obviously broke forward when they had their chance. So I think the same issues are still there. That front 4 couldn't really create anything solid that would lead to a goal. Where we developed as a team is that we got that set piece goal, which really opened it all up. And then, obviously the one for Vuber, there was a deflection on that as well. So you got a little bit of luck as well. Well, I'll take that because we've had our fair share of very, very bad luck at Leeds. In fact, nearly every team we play against, they have a shot, hits off someone's backside and someone's knee and then goes into the top corner. Like, we've had awful luck. So I'll take that. But go back to the Solomon thing, didn't think he was great. Didn't think Jan James was great. Didn't think Aronson was great. Aronson finishing was really poor. There was 2 opportunities he had where he shot straight at the keeper or one straight at the defender. If he had just looked up a little bit and had a bit more awareness of what was going on the pitch, he might have chose something different. To be fair, the second one, the big chance, I think the shot was the right one to take on. He just had to have a better shot rather than put his laces to it and hit it straight at the keeper, which we've been moaned before. He needs to slot that into the bottom corner. But if he's scanning, if he's doing that thing where they look around the shoulder and he's aware, he would have seen that Tanaka was on the edge of the box, the Solomon was just inside him, and he would have had options. And I think that's, again, part of the issue with Aronson is he's a bit frenetic. And when he gets into those opportunities, in those positions, he just kind of lasts and hope for the best, doesn't he?
I think that's where it is or was a really good result for us, because if we were dominant and we kept a clean sheet where they've scored in all of their last 8 games, I think it is, something like that. So it's really good. And the fact that we can have a dominant game, players aren't necessarily playing their best football, yet we still come away with the 2-0 win is really good. And I think it is that stepping stone coming into Tuesday's match, which is what we talked about last week, is all we really needed. So yeah, job. Pascal and Rodon had very good games, I thought. Probably leads us into, not that I'm giving anything away, but probably leads us into man of the match. And player ratings, Rocco.
Yeah, you read them, Darragh.
So we agreed on Melier 7, Bogle 6, Vuber 7, Rodon 8, Al 8, Tanaka 7. Sorry, Pascal was a 7. Tanaka 7, Oyer 8, Dan James 6, Aronson 6, Sullivan 6, and Peru 6, which again speaks to that point that we did struggle a little bit up front. And James, do you have anything to say to Rocco there? Because I did get one of those ratings wrong. Because we've all watched back the video, and you may have gaslighted Rocco last week.
Me? I did not gaslight Rocco. It was a joint effort.
He gaslit himself.
I'm so sorry, Rocco. We immediately got called out in the YouTube. That's the benefits of YouTube comments. People called us out straight away. In fact, it might have been on Blue Sky. Someone said
It was Blue Sky.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Rocco. You are the mighty leader.
Rothwell's man of the match for me. So it was absolutely brilliant for all the reasons Darragh said.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well. I think he was absolutely superb, and he's really coming into his own, considering Gruev and Ampadu were our first choice, and you think how well Rothwell, and we're repeating old ground here, but how brilliantly Rothwell and Tanaka have done is amazing. I say fortunate. We are fortunate to have a very good recruitment team, as well as fortunate for having them in the squad.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. It has to be Rothwell, and goes back to that thing you were saying about injuries and Vuber getting in and players taking their chances. We actually said on this pod at the start of the season that it looked like Rothwell was destined to be the forgotten man this season. He was going to get 2 minutes here and there every 3 or 4 weeks. He's come into the team, made it his own. I don't think he's droppable. I think when Ampadu comes back, I'd love to see Ampadu, Tanaka and Rothwell in a midfield trio with Rothwell and Tanaka pushing forward. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I would love to see Tanaka higher up, just to see how he does, because I think he is so good at, like you say, that scanning and looking what's ahead of him, and I think, yeah, it could be exciting.
He's got a good shot in him too. He had a great shot actually that was going straight in and hit Piru in the backside. That was a super shot, plenty of power on it. He's got great technique for shots and crosses and things like that. He really whips the ball.
He meant to hit his ass. It was out of frustration.
Big enough.
So yeah, upcoming game, Borough at Ellandroad. Darragh, you're coming across from Ireland. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I'm indeed. Flight in on Tuesday morning. I'm on a 10 o'clock flight. So if any other Irish Leeds fans on the same flight, give us a shout. You catch me on Twitter or X. Let me know. We might meet up for a coffee or a beer at the airport. But yeah, we're looking forward to getting together for a game. The three of us. We haven't been together since Wembley 1-0.
Yeah,
to Southampton. So let's hope we can get a better result this time.
Yeah, that's it. I don't want 100% bad omen of watching games with you, Darragh. Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, Farke talked again about, well, it was actually Grayson was talking about Borough with Farke and saying that they expect Borough to play more proactively. But Farke's reply to that was that's how they thought Burnley would come to Ellandroad, and that they were going to attack, but then they sat deep and just kind of waited for counters as well. So I think Borough will be a good test for us. Obviously, it was a test for us in the Cup earlier this season as well. They're a good side. They have some mixed results here and there, but I think overall it'll be a big challenge for us.
Definitely. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll potentially be a cracker. Yeah, they will. I think they will come and play, and that does worry me. I know obviously there's been times where we've lost to teams with the low block, but yeah, I think Borough should come to Ellandroad and absolutely go for us. Don't have to throw the kitchen sink at us, but, actually try and play and see if they can outplay us. Yeah, Ayling's lost his place in the team, so I don't think he'll be starting. But yeah, they're very inconsistent, aren't they? And they score goals, scored as many as us this season, which is quite impressive, and got a good result at Burnley on Friday night. So tough game, But yeah, if we win, then I think that's massive daylight ahead of Borough. The Northern Alliance at the top of the league will be down to 4 in terms of what we have to worry about anyway, I think.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that Ailing may not be starting, because I just don't feel right about playing against him. I love Luke Ayling, absolutely love Luke Ayling, everything he's done for this club and the guy that he is. So I'd hate to see Luke Ayling having to make a last-minute tackle or anything that would just annoy me. So let's just hope he doesn't play. But the other one is, I really agree with you, Rocco. I really hope that Borough do come and try and play, because I think we'll smash anyone who comes and tries to play at Elland Road. So please, Borough, come and try and play, come and try and outscore us, show us all that confidence you've got, because that's where we'll show that we have, beyond doubt, the best squad in the league, and we will win by 18 goals. No, 4. I got to say 4. If they come and try and play, we're going to absolutely go through them, because this squad is getting ready to pour. It's not there yet, but it's waiting for a big name, a big scalp like Borough. The players will be up for it. They come and leave space for us to attack, they're going to get absolutely murdered.
I love it, Darragh. Excellent. And you got to think players like Gnonto, who didn't start in this game. You know, if a team like Borough comes and they do open up, and Gnonto gets a start in that game, or he gets a good run in it, he'll be good. We got a few comments to me from people on YouTube. I think Dave Thornton mentioned it, that Gnonto is overrated. We don't have to go into it in too much detail, but I just thought it's worth us saying, because he's still important for us. In my view, you know, everyone's opinion is different, but in my view, I think he's still really important for us. He's a great attacking player, and maybe a dip slightly, because he's had a lot of pressure on him from teams of late. But I think there's still a lot to come from him, definitely.
I think he'll start definitely on Tuesday. I think maybe Ramazani will as well. I think you might see Ramazani and Gnonto on the wings, which I'd be excited about seeing. Obviously, Dan James doesn't deserve to be dropped, and maybe one of them will replace Aronson potentially. I mean, he's played so much football, Aronson, now on the trot, where he's sort of rotating one of the two wingers every single game now. So maybe we won't see him rotate both of them. But yeah, I think Gnonto will definitely start.
Ironically, this is probably the game that would suit Aronson, because obviously, if Borough do try to play, we will need someone to lead the press and to close down our midfielders quick and early, so try to force them into that long ball. But on Gnonto, I think there's definitely an argument to say that he is overrated, but it depends on what way you're thinking he's rated. Like, he's definitely not a Champions League level player, you know, Italian for an Italian international. But for what is he? Is he 21 or is he 20? Like, he's a really young guy, and he's going to have peaks and troughs. I think one thing that I'm quite enthused by this season is that even his so-called quiet games or bad games, he's still like a 7 out of 10. Like, he's still doing a job. Yeah. So for me, that shows a really good player. And I think there's going to be a period in the season where he's going to kick into form, and he's going to, he's going to destroy the whole league. But then he'll have a dip again, because that's what happens with young players. And hopefully then we'll get him in the Premier League when he's another year older and a little bit more consistent, and hopefully he'll be able to do more for us then. But yeah, I think I can see the argument, but I don't fully agree with it.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, let's hope he has a great game. Hopefully he starts and he has a great game, and we get all the points at Borough in a huge game where Sheffield United drew this weekend. Who else drew? Did Sunderland draw as well?
No, they won in the end.
They won in the end, did they?
Yeah, obviously Burnley drew with
Burnley
Borough.
Drew, that's the one, yeah, sorry.
So it was a good weekend, up to second and 1 point off top.
Did you see Conor Roberts' goal?
It was a fluke.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Left foot and pinged it right over the keeper's head from about 30 yards.
Yeah.
Good goal, look.
It's one of those where if you watch the replay back in a few years' time and you've got no idea that it was windy that day, you just think, wow, that's amazing. The only thing that gives it away is the odd Walker's packet of crisps just floating around behind the goal.
Storm, Darragh, what can I say?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Bad storm for some people, great storm for Conor Roberts. One thing that I was just reminded of, well, actually, I saw that it's Tall and Slenderman who called us out for our gaslighting, Rocco. So, yeah, thanks for letting us know that. But one thing I did notice, Darragh, was you were replying to a comment. Was it the Ipswich player on top of the bus who played in the game yesterday, didn't he? Got 60 minutes.
Yeah. Someone else put it up about, the video of him singing Leeds are falling apart on top of the Ipswich bus for the celebration. for some reason, he just decided to take that upon himself. Why anyone would sing about Leeds when they're gotten promoted back to back, I have no idea. In fairness, I don't think we, even as a club or as a fan base, particularly held anything against Ipswich for going up. They were the better side. They were very consistent all season. But I tell you, I have a problem with them now after all that shenanigans. So to see that clown get bombed out of Ipswich instead of getting his chance in the Premier League, to be on a failing Derby's team and to be failing in that team, I didn't even know he was playing. He was absolutely woeful. So that was quite a joy to see. And we'll pass them obviously this season, so we won't get them. Maybe we'll poach a few of our better players. Yeah, shut up. You know, enjoy your promotion and don't be singing about Leeds.
Excellent stuff. Well, yeah, I think that's probably it for this week. And well, we obviously have to say now that we are a YouTube sensation. I think you used that word, didn't you, Rocco, earlier?
Indeed.
You can subscribe, which will appear like there or there. I don't really know where or below. Subscribe, like, comment, and you can be in with a chance of winning some of Rocco's books. And yeah, feel free to leave some comments on Spotify. I think there's comments on there as well. Thanks ever so much, Rocco.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you Tuesday.
See you Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Thanks a lot, Darragh. We'll see you. Safe travels over, mate.
See you Tuesday.
Cheers, guys.